Author Truman Capote was born in New Orleans on September 30th, 1924, and was the son of 17-year-old Lily Falk and businessman Archelaus Persons. His parents divorced when he was 4, and Truman was sent to live with his mother's relatives in Monroeville, Alabama, and he stayed there until he was 10. While he was living in Monroeville, he became good friends with neighbor Harper Lee. As Capote was a lonely child, he taught himself to read and write even before his first day of schooling. At the age of 5, he would be seen carrying around his dictionary and notepad, and he began to write fiction at the age of 11. In 1933, he moved to New York with his mother and her second husband, Joseph Capote. Joseph Capote adopted Truman as his stepson and renamed him Truman Capote. After attending 4 different schools for his elementary and secondary education, Truman did not attend any more schooling. While attending the Franklin School, however, he had a job at the New Yorker as a copy boy, but was fired after only 2 years for angering poet Robert Frost. Later in life, Capote became somewhat of a socialite, and standing at only 5 feet 3 inches tall, he was extremely recognizable at any party. Capote was also openly homosexual, and used to wear women's clothing as a child. Interestingly, however, Capote never really embraced the gay rights movement. Besides his homosexuality and short stature, Capote was also very well known for his high-pitched voice and mannerisms, as well as telling fabricated stories about his celebrity friends whom he had never actually met. In the 1970s, Capote was in and out of rehab clinics for drug and alcohol abuse. Capote got a facelift, lost weight, and experimented with hair transplants in the last few years of his life. Capote had his license revoked in the early 1980s and had a hallucinatory seizure in 1980 that resulted in hospitalization. Capote died in Los Angeles on August 25, 1984, at the age of 59, of liver cancer, and Capote's ashes were scattered at Crooked Pond between Bridgehampton, New York, and Sag Harbor, New York. Through her friendship with Capote, author Harper Lee based the character Dill in her famous novel To Kill a Mockingbird on Capote. In later years, Capote based his character Idabelle from his novel Other Voices, Other Rooms on Lee. Lee was also Capote's research partner while he was investigating the plot for his novel In Cold Blood. However, after Lee won the Pulitzer Prize for To Kill a Mockingbird, while Capote thought that he would win the prize for In Cold Blood, Capote's jealousy reportedly got the better of him and their friendship was dissolved. Capote published many works in his career, and he started out with short stories. These stories were first published in magazines such as Harper's Bazaar and The New Yorker. In June of 1945, his short story Miriam was published in Mademoiselle and won the award for Best First Published Stories in 1946. During an interview for the Paris Review in 1957, Capote said this of his short story technique. Capote's first novel was Other Voices, Other Rooms, and it was published in 1948 and became the New York Times bestseller, staying on the list for 9 weeks. In the 1950s, Capote wrote 4 plays, one of which was a musical, and co-wrote a play as well. In 1958, Capote wrote what is arguably his most well-known work, Breakfast at Tiffany's. The novella focuses on the main character, Holly Golightly, a young socialite who could care less about what other people think of her. Breakfast at Tiffany's was eventually made into a film in 1961 and cast young Hollywood actress Audrey Hepburn as Holly. In 1959, Capote read a short news article about a family in Holcomb, Kansas, who had been brutally murdered in the middle of the night by 2 unknown criminals. Intrigued, Capote traveled with Harper Lee to Holcomb, expecting to find some information to write an article about the crime in the New Yorker. However, he found much more information than expected and decided to write a novel on this fascinating story. Capote spent 4 years traveling back and forth from Kansas to New York, and eventually, when the two killers were captured and brought to Holcomb for questioning, Capote interviewed them multiple times, gaining their trust and learning about their personal lives. There were many rumors that Capote had a more intimate relationship with one of the killers, Perry Smith, although Capote never confirmed or denied these rumors. Capote was able to gain the duo's trust and ask them about what happened the night of the murder. Through the killer's side of the story, Capote was able to paint them as compassionate people rather than ruthless killers.